Good evening and welcome to our telecast of Just the News. I'm Faye. This is where we give you all of the information on the news that's taken place over the last 24 hours without any opinion or any drama. Let's get straight to it. The Prime Minister warned against the new challenge of black fungus today in a virtual interaction with doctors, paramedical staff and frontline workers from Varanasi. He also said the country must be prepared to fight the rare and potentially fatal condition that is increasingly seen in recovering COVID patients. So far, Rajasthan, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Punjab, Karnataka, Odisha, Gujarat, Chandigarh and Uttar Pradesh have declared it a notifiable disease. Also in this meeting, the Prime Minister apparently became emotional when talking about those who had died because of COVID. He said, and I quote, "This virus has snatched many people from us. Those who lost their loved ones because of corona, I pay my tribute and express my condolences," as he choked on the words and apparently fought back tears. The All India Institute of Medical Sciences Director, Dr. Randeep Guleria, has listed 3 factors that are important to prevent black fungus. Firstly, the control of blood sugar levels, the monitoring of blood sugar levels of those on steroids, and the careful use and dosage of the steroids. Maharashtra has reported the maximum deaths due to black fungus, currently at 90. Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh follow with 61 and 31 fatalities respectively. Haryana and Uttar Pradesh have reported at least 8 deaths. The Supreme Court today directed that High Court should avoid passing orders that are difficult to implement. This comes after the Allahabad High Court passed a series of directions to the Uttar Pradesh government to upgrade the health infrastructure in the state. The Supreme Court today stayed all of those directions issued by the Allahabad High Court on the 17th of May. These were the directions. Every village in Uttar Pradesh should be provided with 2 ambulances with ICU facilities in the next 1 month. All nursing homes should have oxygen bed facilities. Nursing homes with beds above a certain specified number to have their own oxygen plants plus a certain number of ventilators. All medical college hospitals should be upgraded to the level of the Sanjay Gandhi Postgraduate Institution in the next 4 months. And the High Court also observed that the healthcare system in the towns and the villages of Uttar Pradesh was what it called Ram Bharose. Following this, the Solicitor General of India, who is the lawyer who represents the Government of India, Tushar Mehta, approached the Supreme Court and told the Supreme Court that the High Court's directions, though well-meaning, are difficult to implement. He said that there are nearly 97,000 villages in Uttar Pradesh and providing 2 ambulances with ICU facilities within the next 1 month is difficult to do. Taking into consideration what Tushar Mehta had said, the Supreme Court said, and I quote, "While dealing with such matters and the concerns of the courts that they may have for patients and general public and the anxiety of the courts to provide relief to those suffering, sometimes unwittingly courts may overstep and pass certain orders that are not capable of being implemented. Acknowledging the effort of the High Court in looking into the matter in depth and passing the order, we state that the court should avoid passing orders if they are impossible to implement. The doctrine of impossibility is equally applicable to the courts," end quote. Experts have now begun cautioning the government about the impending 3rd wave in the country. The National Commission for the Protection of Child Rights has asked the Government of India to enhance medical infrastructure for children. Earlier this week, the NCPCR had written a letter to the Union Ministry of Health and Welfare and the ICMR asking them to brace up their preparations. On Thursday, the Commission also sent directions to state governments to supply information on facilities available in their districts to treat children for COVID. The Commission aims at getting this infrastructure in place by July this year. The Karnataka High Court today slammed politicians for rushing to court with what it called frivolous petitions of publicity interest instead of raising the same issues in the Assembly. The bench said it was surprised that politicians are now moving to court. The court said that in the last 14 months, we've been passing orders on the issues of migrants and not a single politician came to court. Today, there are 3 petitions filed by political leaders. The bench asked one MLA who had filed a petition, "You are a member of Legislative Assembly. Tell us what have you done for the members of the public. Have you tried to set up an oxygen plant in your constituency, provided beds to your people? You're a political leader. Before seeking writ, you should have done something for the people of Karnataka." It also said that being in a privileged position, you should have raised issues in the Legislative Assembly. Without doing that, you have rushed to court. This is a fit case where we should impose a heavy cost and pay the cost to the Chief Minister's Relief Fund. All of this is publicity interest litigation and not public interest litigation. End quote. The Goa Chief Minister Pramod Sawant has announced that the COVID curfew in the state will be extended until the 31st of May. All essential services will be allowed. Grocery shops will be open from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Restaurants are allowed for home delivery. On Thursday, Goa reported 1,582 cases and 44 deaths. Goa is the only state in the country right now to have registered more than 50% positivity rate in the second wave of COVID, overburdening the health infrastructure and leading to the death of more than 2,000 people. Goa's mortality rate is at 1.49%, which is higher than the 1.11%, which is the national average. Karnataka has also extended its lockdown to the 7th of June, which was due to end on the 24th of May. Karnataka reported 28,869 cases and 548 deaths on Thursday. Kerala has extended its lockdown until the end of the month as well. The Chief Minister said the triple lockdown in Thiruvananthapuram, Ernakulam and Thrissur will be withdrawn from tomorrow as test positivity rate and the active caseload have come down. Kerala has reported 30,491 cases and 128 deaths on Thursday. News away from COVID right now. The founder and editor of Tehelka magazine, Tarun Tejpal, was acquitted by a court in Goa of charges of raping a former colleague 8 years ago. Tarun Tejpal was accused of sexually assaulting a woman in a lift of a 5-star resort in Goa during an event back in 2013. He was arrested the same year. In 2017, the trial court charged him with rape, sexual harassment and wrongful confinement. Tejpal challenged the charges first in the Bombay High Court and then in the Supreme Court, which ordered that the trial in Goa must continue. Tejpal's daughter read out the statement on her father's behalf today, thanked the courts for its rigorous, impartial and fair trial and said the past 7.5 years have been traumatic for the family, but we have dealt with this catastrophic fallout of false allegations on every aspect of our personal, professional and public lives. Incidentally though, in November 2013, several media houses, including the Indian Express and NDTV, had printed a letter that Tejpal had allegedly written to the young journalist in question, in which he accepted the fact that he had, and I quote, violated the long-standing relationship of trust and respect, and he apologized unconditionally for the shameful lapse of judgment and said that he was smothered in regret. Chief Minister of Goa, Pramod Sawant, has said the Goa government will challenge this order before the High Court. The Calcutta High Court today ordered the house arrest of West Bengal leaders Firhad Hakim, Subrata Mukherjee, Madan Mitra and Sovan Chatterjee, who were arrested by the CBI in the Narada sting case. Justice Arjit Banerjee of the Calcutta High Court bench passed the order to grant interim bail to the accused, but the acting Chief Justice Rajesh Bindal disagreed and ordered house arrest instead. Considering the split, the matter has now been referred to a larger bench. 4 politicians, to give you a background, Mr. Hakim, Mukherjee, Mr. Mitra and Chatterjee were arrested on Monday morning from their residences in the city. The arrest sparked massive protests, and a furious Mamata Banerjee also demanded that the investigators arrest her as well, as she staged a dharna outside the CBI office. The TMC has questioned the timing of this arrest, which comes after Mamata Banerjee's victory in the state elections. 84-year-old father Stan Swamy, one of the accused in the Bhima Koregaon case, has told the Bombay High Court today that he does not want to be hospitalized at JJ Hospital, but he would rather die. And he would prefer to die among his friends in Ranchi. The court asked that Stan Swamy be presented before the court on a video call. When asked on that video call if he would like to be admitted to JJ Hospital because of his failing health, Stan Swamy said, "I've been there twice. I'm not for being hospitalized in JJ Hospital. It will not improve. It will keep going. I would rather die here very shortly if things go on as it is." The court then asked Swamy if he wanted to be admitted in any other hospital, and he stated he didn't want to get admitted in any hospital. He maintained that his health was deteriorating and stuck to his plea of interim bail. He said he was able to walk, eat and write when he was first brought to jail 8 months ago, but he is unable to do these things now. The court also noticed that he was having trouble hearing even the people who were sitting next to him. He was having trouble understanding the court's questions. A few days ago, the Jesuit priests of India had written to the Maharashtra Home Minister Dilip Valse Patil and requested immediate medical attention for Father Stan Swamy, who's lodged in the Taloja Central Jail. The matter will now be heard on the 7th of June. The Punjab and Haryana High Court observed that an individual has the right to formalize their relationship with their partner either through marriage or through the non-formal approach of a live-in relationship. In both cases, the partners have and the couple has the same rights. The court observed that the Constitutional Court grants protection to couples who have married against the wishes of their parents and seek protection of life and liberty from their parents who might disapprove. An identical situation exists in the case of live-in relationships. The only difference is that these relationships are not universally accepted, but that makes no difference, said the court. This comes after the Punjab-Haryana High Court had refused to grant protection for a live-in couple who had allegedly faced threats from their families. News now from the world of business. Fuel prices in the country have been increased for the 11th time in this month, in the month of May. In Delhi, petrol now costs 93 rupees and 4 paise. Diesel is at 83 rupees and 80 paise. In Mumbai, petrol is at 99 rupees and 32 paise, whereas diesel rose to 91 rupees and 1 paise. Now remember, the price of diesel impacts the prices of all essential commodities that have to travel across the country on trucks. The price of milk, grains, food items, medication will all be impacted. It also drastically hurts, the price of petrol drastically hurts the livelihoods of delivery personnel who have been delivering food, groceries, e-commerce items during the lockdown because they normally function on two-wheelers which only use petrol. News coming in from across the world right now. A ceasefire between Israel and Palestine's Hamas in the Gaza Strip has come to effect as of this morning, according to the BBC. This brings to an end 11 days of terrible fighting in which more than 250 people have been killed, majority of whom were in Gaza. In Israel, 12 people and 2 children have been killed. Both sides, though, have claimed victory. The ceasefire was brokered by Egypt. It also included Gaza's second most powerful armed group, the Islamic Jihad, after strong international pressure to stem the terrible bloodshed. Israel's strikes on Gaza since the 10th of May have killed 232 Palestinians, including 65 children, and have wounded 1,900 people, according to Gaza's health ministry. While the US supported Israel's right to defend itself, Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, made statements about the non-stop firing from Israel, saying it was meant to make Gaza pay. Now, this raised a lot of questions about Israel's response and whether it was in fact in proportion to Gaza's rockets that were being fired as well. Under international law, there is a principle of proportionality, which means that the use of force must be limited to neutralizing or repealing the threat against which a state is defending itself. Questions about whether or not Israel's use of force were in fact meeting the principle of proportionality. From the world of sports at this point, the FIFA Under-17 World Cup will be held in India in October next year between the 11th and the 30th. India was earlier scheduled to host the 2020 Under-17 Women's World Cup as well, but it was postponed to 2021 and then cancelled due to COVID. The 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup will be held in Australia and New Zealand between July and August. And one piece of positive news before we leave you for the day. For the second consecutive year, because of low pollution, the greater Himalayas are now visible from Uttar Pradesh's Saharanpur town. Saharanpur-based Dr. Vivek Banerjee shared photographs today in a statement saying that it's a rare sight. We saw the peaks of the greater Himalayas towards the north of Saharanpur after the clouds cleared up following 2 days of rain. That brings us to the end of this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. Do share this video with other people who you think would prefer to hear news that has no drama in it. All of the source articles of the stories that we read out to you are in the description of our YouTube video. Please subscribe to our YouTube page and you can read more about these stories from those source articles if you choose to do so. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.